Hey YouTube, how's everybody? This is So Cold Guy here. Kilo Fox 0 Sierra Juliet Sierra is my call sign. And how many of you guys started out as Baofeng pirates? Everyone knows what I'm talking about that's in that world. UV5Rs, great little radios at a cheap price, and you're like, who needs the FCC? Who needs anything? I've got this radio, I can program any channel I want into it. And that's pretty cool. Where I live out here very rurally, there's no one to complain. I'm not in an urban setting and I'm not trampling on other people. And what does the FCC care, right? Well, that's kind of how I started out, and kind of evolved into GMRS, which was pretty nice because in the GMRS frequencies, you know, we kind of evolved to, well, hey, let's just get a license. It's only $35. It covers your entire family. And so everyone can use my license number. And then we went to, well, let's build a repeater, because we can, you know, get a range of about where I live, 40, 50 mile radius all the way around us. And so when we go to town or whatever, we can talk. And that's really neat. So one thing begets another, and before you know it, one of my neighbors, a really wise guy, he's president of his ranch next to ours, he said, well, Jeff, why don't you guys just get an FCC license and be done with it? I said, well, Brad, I don't want to go through that hassle. You know, it's just a bunch of junk, and I don't want to give the government any more revenue than I have to. This may be familiar to some of you guys to hear. And so Team Rubicon was working with them, and they're a great group that come around and help them clear roads for meals. And you know, a couple of the Rubicon guys, as I hear it, they were licensed amateur extra, and so they could qualify the test for these people next door. Well, their entire ranch decided that they were going to get licensed, so they did. And I think they came out and licensed about 9 of these guys at the same time. And you know, next thing I'm hearing is, oh yeah, it's not bad, I love it, it's great. Well, you know, I like a little competition, and I like pushing a little bit, trying to see what I'm missing out on. So I thought, well, hey, it can't hurt. So I went and got hamstudy.org is the best place that I know of to go to prepare for getting your license. It's free, it's online. You just have to make a, you know, you just have to sign up with them basically, and it keeps record of how well you're doing in each area of studying for your license. So I won't ever forget how proud I was when I took my test and the guy said, yeah, you passed with flying colors, great, congratulations. Well, that was one step. That was a great step. I loved it. I told my buddies that had their FCC license, and you know, they welcomed me with open arms to coming back from the dark side. And the nice thing about the test is I did it online. It was like $15. Really nice couple of guys up in Washington State, I believe. And they made it easy and comfortable, you know. It was not as difficult as I had imagined all this time. Well, okay, so now I have an FCC license, amateur, and what can I do with it? Well, one of the things that's included in being able to be an amateur is the ability to get on 10 meter, 6 and 10 meter HF. That's high frequency. And one of the challenges that I had before was, okay, you know, with our little handy talkies, with our little handy talkies, we can talk to people, you know, 50 miles away. That's really neat. With my amateur license, all of a sudden, I can talk to repeaters. Colorado Springs is, I don't know, 150 miles from me. And so I can, with, you know, a little mobile unit or base unit, talk to one of those repeaters. One of those repeaters rebroadcasts that signal all over the state. So all of a sudden, with a license, now I can not only talk to people close for my, you know, SHTF, you know, preps and comms, and but, you know, everyone in that scenario would have friends further away. And how do you talk to them? Well, this is how you do it. So, you know, now I can get on repeaters and talk statewide, and that's really neat. But, you know, getting back to HF, 10 meters is the hot ticket right now. The solar cycles go through an 11-year period, and you know, it has peaks and valleys. Don't get me wrong, it's not always 100%, but with a cheap 10-meter radio, which is single sideband, is how we communicate, and I can get all over the world. All of a sudden, I can get, you know, I got well, just everywhere. I got to countries I hadn't heard of. So that was really neat. And this is kind of how it happens when you get licensed, because if no one's told you, it's kind of the natural progression. You know, all of a sudden you can get on HF and get really wide distance on your radio, but you can't really get in close too well. If you can, it's very uncommon. So how do you get to these guys that are 100 miles away, 200, 300, 400, 500 miles away? With myself and my setup with 10 meters, you know, typically 1,200, 1,000 miles is about as close as I could get. And that's because of the takeoff angle and bouncing off the ionosphere. You're going across states before it reaches its peak and comes back down, and it can multiply skip, so it can skip over the ocean. Anyhow, that's a whole different topic story, but I found out that, oh, if I had a general license, I could use these other frequencies, and these other frequencies are better at being in close. Another thing too, with 10 meters, you know, the band's basically closed at night. There's not any conversation hardly to speak of. So I thought, yeah, if I just go ahead and get my general license, then I can use these other bands. And as I'm learning about ham, I find out that, yeah, they even work at night, which is really neat. Some of these bands, they work better, more efficiently in the dark. And so, you know, it's the ham world opens you up to not only the capability to do a lot more things, but it at least for me, it gave me a thirst for knowledge that I really didn't have before. And it kind of baits you along. Like your 10 meter, okay, now I've got my feet wet, I want more. They don't give you a whole lot of bandwidth for everything. So they kind of encourage you to go to that next level. So currently I am a general, and studying for my general license was not a really big challenge. I think I beat myself up more than I needed to. It was the same kind of process. I just went online. You know, I just thought, well, I'll see where I am in my study here. And, you know, to be honest, it took about 4 or 5 days to study for it. It was not rocket science. And so I was really enlightened there, because the guys said, yeah, man, you did great. You got almost all of them right. So, you know, don't beat yourself up worrying about what goes along with getting your license. It's not hard. You're not in this rigid world of, you know, oh, everyone's perfect. There's a lot of guys and a lot of frequencies that they just get on there to talk all day to each other. And you know, you get away from some of that negative stuff. I mean, myself, you know, I'm a Jesus-loving Christian, and what I've found is most of the people on these bands are just kind-hearted, good people. It's not like you'd find in the CB world so much as the, you know, the crude, crass, garbage talk, which, you know, I don't know. They might like to hear themselves, but I don't like to hear it. And so it's a world of really wholesome people that are just genuinely kind-hearted and want to help contribute to making you a better ham. And there's all kinds of people there too. So now with a general license for myself, you know, I'll never say never. I may go on and get my extra someday, but for right now, I can talk to people close on my little walkie-talkies. I can talk to people moderately close within the state using a repeater with my FCC call. I can talk to people in neighboring states, you know, and generally speaking, it's not a rule of absolute, but generally speaking, you know, the higher the band, which is the lower the frequency, the closer in you can talk to people. And it's its own world of, oh, you know, I want to know how this works, and then you find out how that works. Well, that creates new questions. So it's a world of, it's a wonderful hobby to get into because you can just learn forever. And so I'm in that mode right now. It's been really fun talking to people all over the world. I seem to get Chile a lot. The guy's way down in, you know, 5,500 miles away from me. Just good fellas. They just love to hear from you, and you can talk to different people every day, all day. So, but I think I've come a long way since I was a Baofeng pirate, admittedly, and like I said, we didn't really worry so much about it because we're very rural out here, and it doesn't matter, you know, to us as far as we're concerned. Why would the FCC care? That was kind of the mentality. You guys, maybe some of you the same way, you know, if you're out jeeping somewhere. And but it's painless. It's really not that hard. And I think the best thing about it is, for me at least, and people I know, it's not that you're proud that you have a license all of a sudden and look at me. It's a new thirst for knowledge. And it's exciting. There's a lot of guys out there that all they want to do is help. And there, you know, there's a few negative people. Well, did you know you're not on the correct band? Yeah, you can find that if you look hard enough, but you have to look pretty hard. Most people are very kind, and it's a good community. And you know, if you were into the SHTF, you know, thought process, it's a good way to be able to contact your family in other states perhaps, and where you can't do that with a little Baofeng. So there's ways around some of this stuff, I realize that, but it's been a great experience and I just love it. The only challenge that I think you'd have is once you get going, you tend to spend a little money. And so my equipment here, I've got a Yaesu 150. It's their newest little 2 meter, 70 centimeter radio. And I didn't need that, you know, it's just the radio that came up. It was reasonably priced. It's new tech and very quiet. And I have a ICOM 7300, and you know, a lot of guys will argue with you that Yaesu makes just as good a one, if not better. You know, it's kind of the Ford Chevy thing. I love the 7300. It looks intimidating, all those buttons and knobs, but you know, with a little thirst for a cleaner signal and reaching farther and all the things that go along with it, you learn it really quick. And then it has its own waterfall built into this radio. And then here's free software that I'm very thankful for. It's called HF View, and So basically it's taking the output of my radio here, my ICOM 7300, and just putting it onto a freeware screen here via the USB port. And so that's really neat. But hey, I'll never, you know, completely get away from the little handhelds. We started with Baofengs, and so these new radios here, they have built-in everything. If you're like me, you don't want built-in everything, you just want a radio. But that being said, you can dial it in the way you want it and forget about all the doodahs. And they're just great little radios. So yeah, I've come a long way from my UV5R Baofengs, and honestly, I don't regret it a bit. It's just a good way to go. So if you're in that same boat I was in, that's some things to consider for you. So I hope that does someone some good. If you have questions about what I was talking about, or I didn't make sense, please let me know, and I'll be glad to answer those, because it's kind of like a family in the radio world. So you get to learn people that you see on YouTube or on TV, on shows, and you actually make personal relationships with those people, and it's really a cool way to go. So good luck with that. And this is Kilo Foxtrot 0 Sierra Juliet Sierra 73s.